listening to TV Tangents. Today, we're discussing Beverly Hills 90210, Season 3.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, Natalie.
Can I sing again? Da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. That's my favorite thing to do is theme songs. So we're still talking about Beverly Hills 90210 as we go season by season because this is a fun way to do it. I like going season by season. So many things happen that I literally now I've watched this a couple times over the last long period of time here because then I watched the whole thing and now I go season by season. And reading the first line of my notes and then having just watched the end of it, I'm like, oh my God. So many things happen.
Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, was that actually in this season?
Yeah.
Did you watch the graduation episodes today? Because I watched them 2 hours before
yesterday.
you got here.
Yesterday.
Okay. I have to tell you, first of all, after the spider incident that happened this morning. Okay, there is a spider in my bedroom, and it's still there, and I walled it up, and I nailed it shut, and I sealed it with fire, okay?
I can't believe the house wasn't on fire when I got
What
here.
am I supposed to do? It's over the toilet.
Oh my God, no.
So I sent Natalie a picture of it, and I was like, I can't shower because this spider's here, and so you just have to deal with my stink. But, so you know that I am, severely nearsighted. So I had to get in the shower with this thing on the ceiling, but all I can see is a black dot.
Don't you have another shower somewhere? 2 other showers? Because I would not have. I would not.
I do.
I sent back a message to her that said, please kindly escort him out of the house before I have to come over.
He's still
and
there.
now she's telling me he's still here. She did not tell me he was still here.
He's not going to make it all the way
we're
down
2
here.
floors down, but
also,
I'm just saying.
You're telling me, okay, because my choices are spider shower or boys shower. Those are my choices.
That's true. Okay. Yeah.
So
there needs to be something that you can suction cup over from with a pole, and then he's just in there, so you could at least shower, and then maybe he'd also There's got to be a way that we can invent this. A suction cup, and then the bottom though could seal up because then you could take it outside and then you could just shoot him out into the grass. Oh my God. And you're way kinder than I am. I know you're not supposed to kill spiders, but I do. And
I would.
Yeah.
But it's on the ceiling, Natalie.
Well, that's what aerosol hairspray is for.
Okay, but then no, because then it's there forever. If I kill it on the ceiling, it's there forever.
Oh, don't you have a long tube vacuum? Once he crunches up and he's dead, then you suck it up with the vacuum.
About it. Don't say that. Don't say crunch up. My God.
Gross.
Anyway, I did shower and I watched him. I watched this black dot moving, and I was like, well, it's just gonna jump on me and I'm gonna die.
Hell no.
But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, so after that, I watched the graduations episode. And I got so sad and I was crying. Yep. And I was like, I might just have to cancel the show because I'm so sad now. Because, of course, they're the class of 93.
Yep.
I'm the class of 93. And I was like, oh my God, that's my graduation.
So much of this, God, again, I mean, it doesn't matter how many times I watch things because I'm a crier anyway. So I try to make sure I watch this in the evenings so that when I cry my makeup off, I can just still be okay. But... So I will say, when we left off from season 2, if I remember correctly, it was when Mel and Jackie got married, right?
No, they had the baby. Did they have the baby before they got married? They did.
No, the baby did not come till this season.
Oh, really?
So at the end of it, because Dylan got into it with Mr. Walsh and ran off to his car, that was we were so basically they were forbidding Brenda to see him.
See, I'm getting confused because I watched up to season 6, and then we have gone back to season 3. So now I'm like,
now this is why I'm only watching that season right before we talk about it, because I watched.
That's what I did.
I watched them all and then I binged this one. But you're right. I'm also confused because I went on a walk the other day and listened to our podcast of us talking about season 1. And then I was like, wait a minute, what just happened? Is she late? What's
happening?
I was like, wait, that was the end of season 1. Okay. So yeah, it was the wedding episode. And then Dylan runs off at the end because he's mad at Mr. Walsh. And then he's like, they're basically forbidding Brenda to see Dylan anymore. Mm-hmm. So in the beginning, Brenda is basically sneaking around to seeing Dylan. So she's making Kelly and what's her name? Donna, drop her off on some side street, and then Dylan picks her up, and then they're sneaking around. And that's how they're starting to see each other towards it. So he kind of got over himself, I guess, because he was kind of like, well, I'm not going to see you then anyway, or leave me alone, Brenda. But then very first episode, they're just sneaking around to be with each other and going to the beach. And which also I'm kind of like the fact that they have to meet up on a street somewhere. Dylan has his own house.
Yeah.
Like what? Kind of didn't make any sense, but
then they start living together.
Well, yeah. And that's what's funny is like so it's very beach central because we're now like summertime.
Right. It's the end of the summer.
It's the end of it was just the very end of the school year, basically, as they were showing us. And Andre is a camp counselor at the beach. Brandon goes back to his job at the beach, helping do the chairs and the things for the beach club.
With Dr. Richard Weber. That's not his name in the show.
Exactly. And then we find out the Walshes decide to get a suite this summer, get their own little cabana, which is a big surprise for everyone. Well, of course, all the kids, are in on the fact. I mean, Brandon knows that Dylan and Brenda are sneaking around. So the Walshes get this suite, and Cindy's out on the little deck, and she sees Dylan and Brenda over in the shower off after you get out of the sand showers. And she tries to get Jim to go back. Oh, let's go back inside. And then he sees them, of course, and all stuff breaks loose. They basically Brenda's so mad at the parents because they don't trust her that she packs a suitcase and moves in with Dylan. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Walsh tries to go get her, and she's like, it's not good enough, Dad. I'm not leaving here, and all that kind of stuff. And Dylan's just kind of like, I don't know what you want me to say.
Brenda is such a handful. She really is.
She really is a handful. And
she's and her dad.
Yeah. And she's just very much like, I can't believe you're treating me like a child. And she's only a senior in high school. She's not even 18 yet. So I might like, well, you kind of act like a child a lot. And so maybe you need to calm down. But yeah.
I feel for him.
I mean, I'm surprised. And it's funny because I was like, yeah, you just be like, no, you're coming home. And Dylan even says to him, are you going to drag her out by her hair? And he goes, it's come to a lot, but it hasn't come to that yet or whatever. And Mr. Walsh leaves because he's like, okay. And they kind of just deal with it. And they're like at home, and Brandon's like, what's going on? And they realize it's going to kind of like hopefully work its way out. And they just beside themselves.
Which it does, because these two, beyond being completely a toxic couple, they cannot live together.
Yeah, it's crazy. Dylan needs his space. She's like cleaning, and now she's like, go get us groceries, and we need laundry detergent. Yeah. And he's like, what? He's like, I'm going surfing. Peace.
Right, because she's used to like the domestic life and like the nuclear family, and he's Dylan. And he doesn't even have parents around.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and then all of a sudden she's like basically his wife, and he's all, nah.
And I think at one point somebody, was it Brandon? And then he kind of reported back to the parents, and he was like, well, Dylan's sleeping on the couch and she's sleeping in the bedroom. So they were like, oh, yay. Like, that's just better.
Why?
I know. Nothing makes any sense. It was very crazy.
Why?
But this is when Jackie does go into labor. So Kelly's mom, Jackie, goes into labor.
Okay. See, I thought that was season 2.
Nope. Okay. Yep. So she has the baby. And like, so before that happens, Kelly and Donna are talking about how they have a trip planned to go to Paris. So they're going to be going, and it's like a study course kind of thing. And it's like for 6 weeks long in the summer. And they're all excited about it. But Donna doesn't want to go because she doesn't like to fly, and she doesn't want to leave David. So Donna is the one who doesn't really want to go the whole beginning part of this. And I will say this, because this is the funniest part to me about all of this. So in season 1, they're all juniors and David's a freshman.
Okay, thank you.
And then David decides he doesn't want his friends to leave him, so he's going to graduate early.
Is that what?
Like, so 2 years early?
Right?
They did the whole soap opera thing to us where they aged
him forward. That's what, because at graduation, I was like, why is David graduating?
Yeah. So because his whole thing was like, Don, I really want to graduate with you guys, so I'm going to do all this extra studying. And that later on, she like takes over his radio show so he can study extra. And the whole time I was like, but he's 2 years behind them. But you can tell they try to make it like, oh no, he's a junior.
Like we didn't remember.
Because he even says at the very end of the season, he's just like, oh, I could stay and be like big man on campus, but I wouldn't be with you guys or whatever. So that's funny to me that's a premise of his thing where he's like, oh no, I want to do this or whatever.
Yeah. So we're still at the beach, and Brandon's still working at the beach, and Steve is hanging out at the beach because he doesn't know anything else to do. And they meet some twins.
Yes.
Except that, fun fact, they're not twins. Do you recognize one of these twins?
Okay, so what was it? Rory and I can't think of the other twin, what her name was supposed to be.
I know their real name.
Okay, so one of them also was on Saved by the Bell, right?
She played Tori.
On
Saved by the Bell.
That's right.
Yes.
I feel like we talked about this once before.
So they are Leanna and Monica Creel.
Yes.
They are not twins. They are triplets.
That's right.
Okay.
Did we already talk about this?
I think I might have mentioned it, like, we at some point did talk about it. I think we might have mentioned it in season 1. I don't, because I was like, oh, aren't they in this season? No, they're in the other one.
Interesting. Okay,
so the both of them, they're like, they think they're dating the same girl for one, or that they like the same girl for 1 second, but then they're like, oh no, they're twins and they dress alike. But yeah, Leanna and Monica Creel have a sister named Joy.
Yes.
And they were in The Parent Trap 3.
That's right.
With Haley Mills, which is a movie I was obsessed with. And then they were in The Parent Trap Hawaiian Honeymoon with Haley Mills. And I think the guy from Rocky Horror Picture Show was in that one too. But anyway, Brad Majors. But yeah, they were in a lot of things. They were like, Monica and Leanna were in a lot of shows, and I think they were in Growing Pains together one time.
Okay, yeah.
And they both had like different like careers.
Okay.
And Monica was in a few movies. Monica was on Married with Children one time, and Leanna was on Saved by the Bell, and Joy didn't really do as much stuff as her sisters did, but I was absolutely obsessed with them at the time.
Yeah, I remember when she first popped up in this series, and I was like, wait, who is that? You know, and then I'm like, then at first I didn't know. Right when they started it off until they were all together, I was like, is that just one girl? I had to remember that they were actually twins/triplets.
They are triplets.
But yeah, and then I remembered, oh yeah, for sure, Saved by the Bell. So I was like,
and
okay.
Leanna was on My Two Dads Twins.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, did these guys become the girls who were like on every sitcom we grew up with? And they kind of, you know, they made like, yeah. So
but not always together even.
Right. Like at different times. So I thought it was the same person. I'm sure growing up I did.
Yeah.
Like I, of course, would have just thought, oh, that's that one actress.
Yes,
who's
she's in everything.
Wherever. Yeah.
No, it's actually her sister. So I just wanted to point that out because that is one of many faces that we see in season 3, which, by the way, I think so far is the best season.
Yeah, this was a really good season, actually. I forgot how good this one was. And yeah, right away, it's funny how they're, you know, and then that's like one whole episode with those girls, and Steve screws it up because he's a jerk. And but Andrea is like dating a guy who graduated the year before the Walshes got there. And he went and he used to work on The Blaze with her, the newspaper. And now he goes to school somewhere else. And he's like showing up. And now Brandon's like jealous that, because at first when he finds out Andrea is working at the beach, everyone's like, oh, look, Andrea's here. And he's like annoyed and he's mad at Henry / Dr. Richard Weber. You know, because he thinks like she's always following me around and she like likes me so much. Well, then she's like keeps like walking away from him and seeing this guy and hugging him and doing. And Brandon's like, you can tell he's got the jelly going. He's like, he's watching this and he's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be the one she's into.
Yeah, like if there's not someone pining for him, then what is he going to do?
Yep. And he is very he is very jelly about that for a while. And at one point is like, he like kisses her and, because she's going to go to, she's going to leave the camp counselors, which she becomes, because she like befriends the little deaf guy and everything. And she does such a great job because she knows, sign language, and so he can then participate. His mom won't let him do anything because she's scared,
right.
And then Andrea right away already knows sign language, and so like he gets to belong. So then she's gonna go with this guy to like the Republican National Convention or something, or go somewhere to do like a story for a couple weeks. And he's like, "What about your job here?" Brandon's like giving her crap, and she's like, "Well, they can." And he's like, "You just befriended whatever his name is, Benji. Is his name Benji?"
No.
And so he's like trying to be mean to her, to be like, "Well, what do you mean you're going to go do all this?" And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And then at one point he kisses her, and it's like, and then she's like, "What are you doing?
I need to be seen."
Yeah. And it was very, very weird part of their like little relationship that they've had going for so long.
Which is really annoying. Like, if you're going to do that, like, make it happen. But why do we have to do this? Like, why does Andrea have to be, I'm sorry, Andrea. Why does Andrea have to be so pathetic?
I'm not going to lie. This is also the season where it starts to get to me how much of a whiner she is. And I wrote it down later on. And she very much, anytime she's having a stress moment, she's like, "Brandon, you don't understand. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that." And it gets worse. I mean, I'll tell you, seasons later, when another character comes into, then it gets way worse. But this is where I started to see it. Because at first I'm like, no, I still like her. She's still okay. But midway through this season, she starts having meltdowns over certain things.
And she's so judgy.
That's the other thing.
Nobody wants to be friends with someone who judges every move they make.
She is very judgy, and I'm not.
She's like, "I wouldn't do that because I'm going to get into a good school."
Yeah.
Okay.
She's crazy. She was
irritating.
So Kelly decides that she's going to, she starts bonding with the baby. And she doesn't want to go to Paris now because she doesn't want to miss any moments with Aaron, the baby. And basically she kind of wants to convince Brenda to go, and then Brenda doesn't want to go. But then Jim and Cindy kind of jump on the chance to be like, "Oh, we can get her away from Dylan."
Yep. Get her out of the
But
country.
when they have the whole talk, like they come, okay, so Dylan and Brenda come over to the Walshes for dinner because she's still living with him. And she's like, "Oh, I see. You're just trying to get me away from him." And Dylan's kind of like, "You shouldn't pass up a chance to go to Paris because maybe they're trying to keep us apart." And he's kind of like, "Well, if we can't go 6 weeks, well." So
didn't that blow up?
Yeah, it was a little bit interesting there. But yeah, so basically Brenda decides to go. And poor Brandon, he's like, "Wait a minute." She runs away and moves in with her boyfriend, and then she gets rewarded with a trip to Paris.
I mean,
and I have to pay for my car insurance.
This is how the whole entire season goes with those two. It's
exactly.
like, wait a minute.
Back and forth with all their crazy. So Brenda and Donna end up being the ones to go to Paris. And even right when they're leaving, they're like leaving on the bus. And Kelly and Dylan get all flirty in the parking lot, even Brenda's looking at them like, "What's going on over there?"
Yeah, what are they going to do all summer?
So I'm like, interesting.
But then Brenda, she goes to Paris, and she meets Dean Cain, and there's a lot of elementary French going on.
Yep.
When she's speaking to him, she pretends to be French when he like approaches her in the park or whatever, and she's like, "Je vais très bien, merci, et vous? Je m'appelle Brenda." And he's like, "You must be a native France person because you speak such good French."
When he walks up, he was like, "Excuse me, mademoiselle," and then she kind of says something, and then she speaks with her fake French accent. And pretends to be from there, and then she's giving him a tour of the place that she's never been before.
Right, and she never speaks French again, and all these French people are like, "Oh, what is that accent?"
I will say, too, one of my favorite things about them getting there, first of all, their room is really bad, but they're like, "Well, when will we ever be in our room?" And then Donna doesn't want to go see sightseeing and whatever else, but they go to a restaurant, and it's like one of the funniest things ever. So they don't know, the menu's in French, And so Donna and Brenda are sitting there, and Brenda has her little book, her little English to French book or whatever, but they're reading the menu, and she goes to the waiter, I don't want fish. And he's just looking at her like, what the hell? And so Brenda orders something in French, and then Donna orders something and says veal, and she goes, oh yeah, and then I'll just order veal. And then Brenda's like, oh yeah, make it two. She said that in French, but he's like, okay. So he walks away. He comes back with their food. It looks disgusting. And they're like, well, it's got to be edible, right? And they both go to eat it, and their faces are like, oh my God. And they're like, it's chewy. Oh, it's kind of weird. So Brenda pulls out her book, and she looks it up, and then she spits in her napkin, and she's like, it's brains. And Donna just lets the food fall out of her mouth onto the table. I was dying. I was like, I just left her. She's like, it's brains. Oh my God. Brains. I'm like, how do you go somewhere like that and then just order something you don't have any idea what you're doing?
Oh my God.
So I thought that was hilarious. Donna gets offered a modeling contract because they go to this party and this guy's offering her, and she's taking a bunch of photos, and Brenda's hanging out with Rick and with her
accent is so bad.
Rick lets me take you on all the tours of the places I've never been because I don't know what I mean, how did she get away with that for so long, taking him around Paris? Like,
I don't know.
Although
did anybody ever speak to her in French? Because she doesn't know any French.
Exactly. And you know what? It was funny because like the whole time. And why didn't he ask her to speak more in French? Because he's like, oh, I'll speak English because you speak English. But wouldn't you be like, girl, I want to hear you speak French.
Right? And also I need to practice my French.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, though, because he's Superman. And Lois could never figure it out.
That's true. Superman, with glasses on, it changes a man. Okay, this is when Nikki shows up, right? Nikki from National Lampoon's Vacation.
From National Lampoon's Vacation.
Well, her name's Nikki on the show. Is it Andrea something in real life?
Hold on. Where is it?
I feel like it's Andrea something with a B.
Dana Barron.
That's right.
Played Audrey in National Lampoon's Vacation. Yes. And I wanted to be her. Like, when we were in high school watching this, I was a senior in high school. Mm-hmm. That's who I wanted to be, was this character, because she's cool. She is cool.
So she shows up during the summer and loves David's music. He's playing in his, what are those called now? Cabanas that his family, I guess. Everybody has a cabana there.
Because Richard Weber couldn't find, or his music act like flaked out on him. And so Steve was like, I got a guy and it's David.
Yes. And I think Steve paid off that act not to be there. Yes.
And everybody, like Kelly and Donna and everybody's like, oh my gosh, he's so good. He's so good.
Well, and Kelly could hear him playing. And then she was like, oh, this again. But then when he plays for everyone, she's like, this is great. But, so Nikki is infatuated with him, and at some
Nikki
point
has a thing for musicians.
Yes, so she starts kissing him in the cabana at one point, and I think Kelly walks in on them, and then she kind of runs off like, oh geez, okay. Well, David's basically like, I have a girlfriend. She's like, so I have a boyfriend back in San Francisco. And he's like, yeah, we don't have that kind of relationship. So this isn't really going to work. She's like, I like you, David. And the funny part is she decides, when school starts up, she transfers to West Beverly, and starts school with them. And that's a little bit later on.
That's a whole thing. But meantime, Kelly and Dylan sleep on the beach in sleeping bags.
Well,
after they...
So first of all, they're like, they go do the tug of war on the volleyball against Andrea's little kids. And then they fall all over each other. And then they're both looking at each other. And Steve's like, hey, lovebirds, blah, blah, blah. And then they're in the cabana putting aloe on each other. And then at one point, Kelly tells someone she has to go change in the cabana, and she walks up there, and Dylan's in there waiting for her. But that's all they show you. It's like the end of an episode. And then later he finds her on the beach, and he's like, we need to talk. We kissed yesterday. And you're like, wait, what?
When?
You're like, they kissed in the cabana, and then they just ran away from each other? So she's like, no, we can't hurt Brenda. So that's like this whole then ongoing thing. And... then they go, like, where he goes surfing, he takes her out on, like, a jet ski, and they fall in, and they kiss again. And so then she'll keep saying things like that, like, we've kissed, like, 3 times now, and da-da-da-da. And, yeah, he asks her to go up to Paradise Cove or whatever it's called, and then they just spend the night
in
separate sleeping bags under the stars. They fell asleep. She fell asleep in his arms. At first, she wasn't going to go.
Yeah.
She's like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. Everybody's coming back soon.
And didn't Andrea see them? Like, they woke up and Andrea was there.
She was coming around the corner with the kids, and Dylan played it off. Kelly hid in the sleeping
that's
bag.
right.
And
He was like, my friend is drunk.
My friend, he just made up some guy's name, too.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, okay. And then Kelly's like, what?
But they woke up all beautiful without sand on them.
They did.
Not itching at all.
But also, when they were doing the whole lotion thing in the cabana, David walked in on them, and they were like, and they were about to kiss again, and they didn't. And so both Kelly and David were like, well, I won't tell Brenda if you don't tell Donna. And I was like, okay, Kelly, you need to be a little bit better friend about that. They kind of get together, and at first they're just all really, the whole time they're just like flirty and hanging out, but.
So I ask you, and I also asked this of the internet. Who do you think is a better couple? Who did you want to see together? Kelly and Dylan?
Thing.
I know, Kelly and Dylan, or Dylan and Brenda.
Okay. So we've talked about this. I watched this growing up, and then I think I tapered off probably after season. I don't really remember once we get into the other seasons. I don't kind of remember a lot of that stuff. I do remember watching this, but then never watched it again until this last year. I thought they were all just together, and then Kelly just stole Dylan up.
Right.
Like and then I was like, oh, because isn't she supposed to be like so the slutty
evil
girl, and she's supposed to be all this, and she just hooks him.
Yeah.
Well, that's not really how it happened. And
because they've known each other since they were kids.
Yeah, Dylan and Brenda have broken up a couple times. They've been apart. Not that they were clearly together during this time. So this is also on Dylan.
But they're nice to each other. They don't treat each other the same way that Brenda and Dylan treat each other.
At least up to this point, yes. While they're just flirting in the summertime.
Well, yeah, because then later she's just mad about
it's a little
everything.
Crazy. Yeah. But yeah, they seem to be like better, and they kind of they said they've been considering themselves like soulmates kind of thing. They're like they're very. So, and we didn't really get to see them just hanging out all the time because it was so on the down low. They didn't want to pretend that they were. It's almost like they're very Monica and Chandler about it. So
which one? You got to pick one. You got to pick.
I feel like it evolves for me going into the future even more. Okay, now are we talking about this point where we're talking about it, or the end of this season?
In season 3.
By the end of this season, or where we are right now?
Oh my God, I don't care.
See, I know you're. See, I'm telling you, I go back and forth. Okay,
you tell me. You tell me. At this point, no, they shouldn't be together because he's still with.
Right.
And then later in the season, yes, they kind of have Brenda's blessing, but not really.
Yeah.
And she's okay with it.
Well, for sure, at this point, they should not have done, this stuff. And they, and again, they did not sleep together. They only kiss. That's still cheating. So at this point, that everything that they did was wrong. That's like, again. I've been always a firm believer, if you don't want to be with somebody, you should break up before you start anything with somebody else.
But she was in France.
Exactly. But at that point, I'm kind of like, they both, and again, that doesn't excuse it either. Brenda's off kissing a guy and Dylan's technically kissing a girl, but that girl's your best friend. And so.
Yeah, she totally should not have done what she did, but I also don't like Brenda and Dylan together.
I was going to say the same thing. So I think we're on the same
terrible
page.
Couple, but also, would Kelly have noticed her feelings for Dylan if he weren't with Brenda?
You're right.
But I think they bond over being poor little rich kids.
Yeah.
Very much, because neither of them wants like this lot in life.
Yeah.
And Brenda just doesn't understand that. And Brenda is very whiny and controlling.
Yeah, Brenda has a lot of issues too.
And also, she's off with Dean Cain.
Exactly. I'm like, she's off kissing somebody else and she's with Dean Cain. And why does that happen unless you have also doubts of things and whatever? So,
and also, she's smoking.
Yeah, I know. She started smoking because everybody in France smokes. So, yeah, back at the threshold of the beach and everything. So this is first of all, funny anecdote, which I never noticed the first time I watched this, even though just like 6 months ago. One of the kids helping Andrea for the camp counselors is Tori Spelling's brother, Randy Spelling, who then turns out later to be Steve's brother.
Oh, no.
But he's just like, he's coming along with Andrea. I'm like, I never noticed that the first time I watched this because, of course, he comes on later. And I'm like, and they
A very little house on the prairie of
Yes,
them.
exactly. And you can tell that's not who he's not supposed to be. But and he's very, you don't see him that much. But of course I noticed him right away. I was like, oh my God. But we have to talk about Brooke.
Oh God.
Brooke. Okay. So there's going to be a volleyball contest.
Mm-hmm.
And Steve's like, Steve's all good at the volleyball. So he's like, I got to find a good partner. And then somehow Kelly and Dylan are partners in this whole, and everybody's so good somehow. I'm like, these people aren't really that good at volleyball. Steve, they do these like tryouts or whatever. Mm-hmm. So she shows up and she's really like a pretty girl and she's from wherever. And she's like, oh, well, and Steve's like, well, you got to be my partner then because I'm really good. She's like, well, let's see. So they start playing together and she's like, you are good. So he's into her. He's like, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. And then like the first time she sees Brandon, she's like, oh, hey, Brandon. And so she's very, whatever, kind of flirting with him. And then Steve's like, hey, lay off, Brandon. I saw her first.
These two are always competing for women as if there are no other women in Beverly Hills.
Exactly. But Brooke literally had no intentions of wanting to date Steve, and she was all about Brandon. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of becomes clear. And Steve is like, pouts about it while they're playing volleyball at one point, and then he like just gets over it in the middle of the game and then starts playing better, and then they end up like winning the tournament, which yay, everybody's great. And then they go to celebrate and they're like, you're gonna come with us, right, Steve? Now everybody's friends again. But this girl is like, it lasted like 3 episodes maybe that Brandon and her are like dating.
Oh yeah.
I mean, she meets their parents and everything.
She's the worst person.
But then the episode they decide to get rid of her. She goes through every possible realm of racism that you could possibly do.
Seriously. She's like, she hates poor people. She hates people of different colors.
She's like making comments to Brandon about Richard Weber and how he like whatever his situation and he can't get fired because he's black. And you're like, and he goes, what? He's like, he owned a sporting goods store that burned down during the riots. And he's trying to tell her, he's like, I'm offended. She's like, oh, and at first you think it's a one-off. You're like, and she's like, I didn't mean anything by it. I'm so sorry. Like whatever. But there's a homeless veteran and she's like, these people and let's get out of here. And you can't help people like that. So Brandon's kind of getting like super irked with her. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of keeps going. And then she's like, well, I'm sorry. And we have different ideas about stuff. Does that mean we can't date? And then he's kind of like, well, yeah, I guess we still can because you're really hot. So,
but I'm Brandon.
Yeah. But then I think it's at the very end of that episode or whatever. And Andrea's talking about going to school or Yale or maybe or something like that. And she's like, well, she doesn't have to work. And he's like, what? She's like, Zuckerman, hello, a Jewish girl from Beverly Hills. And Brandon's like, what is going on? And finally he's like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here. And she's like, wait a minute. I meant that as a compliment. She's like, all crazy.
Oh,
the whole thing is so bizarre.
She's the worst. I mean, yeah, his relationships are getting longer as we go. So that's nice.
That's true.
Usually it's like a one-off.
One episode, yeah. This was at least like 3 episodes.
We got to come back from Paris. The girls come back from Paris. Mm-hmm. And we have to start school.
Yes.
And the seniors can sign up to have a little buddy, like a freshman buddy.
Yep.
And Brenda's is
Sue Scanlon, played by
the girl from The Nanny. I don't know what her name is, but she is the older daughter in The Nanny.
I feel like the last name is Tom or something like that.
I don't know. I didn't write it down, but she is the cringiest. They're trying to make her look rebellious. She is so bad at smoking. I have never seen someone on TV smoke so unconvincingly as this girl does.
I think later she even says that she doesn't inhale it because she's really just trying to look like she's hardcore.
So you think she's like the actor is doing that on purpose?
I think she was because of something that they said at one point.
Bad.
At first I didn't think she was, but I was like, what is she doing?
Yeah.
But I think later, because I think they made it, so Sue Scanlon, for everybody who listened to us before, so Scott Scanlon was David's best friend, the one who accidentally shot himself in season 2, I believe.
Yes, season 2.
So Sue is his little sister. And Brenda didn't even put that together at the beginning.
Right.
Because she becomes Brenda's little buddy, and she shows up to school looking all normal and plain, and then they go in the bathroom, and then she dresses like what she thinks that she should look like to be kind of slutty and to be hardcore. But that's why I think they did the weird cigarette thing, because I don't think she didn't really want, we find out later kind of why she's doing this, but I think she was just doing it to be like, look, I smoke.
You think it was on purpose? Because like she didn't even hold it right.
Right.
She's like, hell.
I think they were trying to make her look bad at it, to be honest. I really do think they were.
Or do you think that they were like, we have to address how bad this actor is at smoking cigarettes?
Now let's make a whole different version of why she's, exactly.
I have no idea. It drove me nuts. Like, because she was talking to Brenda in the bathroom, and she's like, you know, holding it all weird, and then she's not even inhaled. She's just like, meh.
Yeah.
And okay, all right. I see your POV.
And Donna had to tell Brenda who that was. She's like, that's Sue Scanlon. She's like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize.
And she's got to take off all her makeup and change her clothes before she goes home because her mom is a basket case. And this is when Dana Barron, Nikki, shows up again. And she's Donna's
little buddy.
Buddy. They're not called little. They're called freshman buddies or whatever.
It's like your senior. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's Donna's little buddy, and David's like, "Oh crap!" And she pretends like she doesn't know David though. She's like, she's helping him out. Yeah. Like they didn't kiss.
Right.
They don't know each other.
Oh hi, David. Nice to meet you. And it's awkward. David wants to come clean with Donna at some point. And
I feel like he needs a lot of convincing to do that.
Oh, he told Nikki he was going to tell Donna. And then later she's talking to Donna and she's like, I'm so glad you're cool about me and David and all that. Right. So she tells Donna.
Yes.
And then they basically set up David to see where his loyalty is. So they show up at like the party and she's like, oh, she tries to like get on him and kiss him. He's like, no, I love Donna. She's the only one. And they're like, busted.
Yes. That's like, the best scene.
Lord.
That's the best scene.
So that was
she moves on to Brandon. I have to point out, I know you didn't watch The Walking Dead, but some of our listeners may have. And Michael Cutlass, who plays, I don't remember who he plays in The Walking Dead. You're going to have to look that up.
Okay.
He is the football bully, the redheaded dude who keeps bullying Steve's little buddy, the nerdy dude, whose name I can't remember. His name is...
redheaded guy? It's not the big blonde guy.
He has red hair.
Oh. Then I don't know.
He has like a flat top. He's the main football bully dude who later...
The guy later dates Brenda, basically.
Is like...
goes out with Brenda.
He goes out with Brenda?
Like they go to prom together.
I don't remember that part.
Okay, because that guy's name is like Michael Anthony Rawlings, and I'm trying to figure out what every episode he's been in. That's the big blonde guy. That's like the prominent football guy.
That's not who I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm talking about a redhead.
Okay.
It's okay if you don't know who it is.
I don't remember who,
Okay, hold on. I'll look it up. Hold on. Okay, this is Michael Cutlass.
Yeah, that's who I'm talking about too, but his hair is blonde in 90210.
No, it's not.
It is.
I don't know what your TV
I
is set to.
don't know what your TV is set to.
Maybe I'm just seeing his hair is red because I know it's red.
Now you're making me have to pull it up.
He sure did go to... Okay, so the middle of this season, I was doing chores while I was watching because I did not see them go to prom together.
I was like, what is happening?
Look at how red his hair is.
That picture that you're showing me, well, it looks dark in that picture.
Okay, well, it looks blonde there, but he's a redhead.
Yeah. So what is he? He's in other stuff as a child actor.
Probably,
I know that
but he played a dude in... Hold on.
Oh, did you see his most recent picture of him? Let me just show you.
Yeah, I know what he looks like now.
Do you though?
I do, because...
That's red hair?
No, that's gray hair. He's an old man.
Stop it.
How old is
right.
he? He's 61. Okay.
But he's been in all of these seasons of 90210, and we're just going to argue about this because he is totally blonde.
He played Abraham in The Walking Dead.
Okay.
I know you didn't watch it, but
I didn't.
He's a big dude.
See, I'm looking at... Oh, TV.
He's a motorcycle-looking dude. Anyway.
21 Jump Street, L.A. Law, Step by Step, Life Goes On, Growing Pains.
He's on everything.
Beverly Hills 90210.
Okay, all right.
All the different things.
This is a tangent.
Party of Five. Yes, this was a big one. I'm going to find several photos of him and send them to you with his blonde hair, I swear. Anyway.
But he's a redhead.
Next.
Anyway. Maybe he dyed it you know.
You know, when you're blonde when
because-
you're young, it changes when you get older.
I don't know. I think maybe he
all of
didn't.
us.
Anyway.
What were you even going to say about him before we got?
I don't know. I was just
started on
pointing
this.
out that The Walking Dead dude, because
okay.
if you watch The Walking Dead, then you absolutely know he was like a important character.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, then
I did want to mention, if we're talking about something different, is
Sure.
how annoyed I am with Gil Myers.
oh god,
Mr. Myers, who's like this, he's like the faculty person for the newspaper.
he's so inappropriate.
He is creepy, but in a weird way where he's like, I'm your age. So the actor during this time was like 30.
Yeah.
But he, you know, if you're like, I mean, when I was a senior, we had teachers in high school that were like 23.
Yeah.
So you're close in age because you go to college, you become a teacher, and then
Right.
boom, you're teaching high school. He was way too bro with everybody.
He was one of those teachers who's like, look, we're all friends here.
Exactly.
I'm just like you kids.
And him and Andrea kind of, you could tell, like, kind of had a crush on him or cared too much about what he thought. And she had a whole bunch of anxiety about that. But he is just weird in the beginning. And then she takes what he says, you know, like, so seriously. She's trying to impress him. He pits them against each other with the paper as editor-in-chief.
Yeah, because he wants Brandon to like assert himself and be the editor-in-chief. And she's like, well, I guess so. And then
And
he
then he's
doesn't
always,
even
like,
realize he's
popping
being
up.
sexist.
Yeah.
And then he's like, and then Sue Scanlon.
Then the whole thing with Sue.
Yeah, she like accuses him of inappropriateness, and he's like, I can't lose 2 students to inappropriateness. And I'm like, dude, what?
This is
Maybe
also
you're giving off bad vibes.
Exactly. This is also the part where, because he was like, when he was talking to her, he's like, wait, he stands way too close to female students when he talks to them.
Yes. And he put his hands on her face.
Yes,
And I was like, that's
exactly,
not what we do.
exactly.
That's not what
I was like,
do.
we don't do that.
And we don't close the door.
She runs out of the room, out of the classroom, and Andrea sees it. And by the way, this is also where I was really starting to lose it with Andrea. I was like, because this whole thing turns into, basically he gets accused of assaulting her.
Yeah.
And they go to like let him go from school, suspend him from school. So Andrea's like, clearly he did it. I saw her running out screaming. And then she's like she's talking to like Brandon. He's like, he's a good guy. And she's like, Brandon? Girls just don't say that. And then she's like, he clearly, I mean, she's like, he's guilty before being proven innocent. She was, I mean, she kind of went all in on this. And I don't know if it's her like residual feelings of she wishes like she could date him.
But he was a little inappropriate with her too. So
That's
why
kinda-
would she not
Well,
think that that's what was
true.
going on?
That is kind of true.
But also,
But yeah, we find out that this whole thing was Sue was assaulted by her uncle.
yes.
And Donna basically kind of detectives it out of her, and they get it kind of figured out. And then of course Gil gets to just come right back, which also doesn't happen when there are accusations. You're kind of done.
But it's the 90s.
Right?
And I was
That's
like,
true.
oh good,
That's
we're
true.
done with Gil. He's going to leave.
Yeah.
I don't like him, but
Yeah. No, he did kind of come on less and less then, which is nice. But yeah, he pops up.
No, never
here and
liked
there.
Gil. He's
And
an
then
ass.
Andrea goes to talk to him, and she's laughing. Haha, sorry, I jumped to conclusions after she like reamed him, and I was like,
sorry, I almost ruined your
yeah,
entire
she's like,
career.
haha. It's like, oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then, so the prom is called the Pigskin Prom. So it's kind of like a homecoming. Is that?
No, you're
this is
thinking
a
of
different
that was the
prom.
different. No, that was that other dance they had.
They
That
had,
was,
it was another
yes.
dance that they call the Pigskin Prom, and they need a musical act, and Brenda, of course, is in charge of
Yes.
this, and so, you know, she's got to like audition all these bands, and everybody's like, I don't know why you don't just hire David on the spot, because he's the best.
He's
like,
the best.
they are like so in awe of how amazing he is,
Mm-hmm.
and we are subjected to the music
Way too much.
of David Silver through this entire season. And so
And it's
again,
like the same song all the time, and they play it at the Peach Pit too.
it's so bad. Of course, I took another poll from the TikTokers.
Okay.
So basically, I asked if you were a fan of 90210 in season 3, and if you were a fan of Brand Austin Green, did you think this was good? Because I didn't listen to that kind of music at that time. Mm-hmm. I was listening to like hair metal and the Monkees.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, was it good? So the responses to this were mostly, I mean, there wasn't one person who said yes. Jenny PNW said, I was not a fan of his, and also the music was bad.
For sure.
It was goofy AF. It was, in fact, terrible. Thanks for triggering my repressed traumatic memory of that. And this person, Alice in Wonderland, said, David Silver's music sounds the way vomiting feels. You can quote me on that. And I replied, I plan to. So thank you, Alice in Wonderland.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So no, nobody was fooled, apparently. Nobody was like, oh my gosh, he's so good. Because he sings like this.
He totally does.
And
he was very boy band. He was very boy band.
But what was that Tommy guy's name that was on? He did one episode of Full House as himself where he was kissing all the girls on the mouth. And he was like a one-hit wonder.
Not Tommy Page.
Tommy
Page.
It
is Tommy Page,
He's
yes.
very Tommy Page.
Yes.
And, like, did anybody think that Tommy Page was good?
No,
we just liked that one song.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, nobody needed David Silver.
No.
And Steve is like, you're going to be a billionaire.
Exactly. Steve's trying to be his manager.
I wish we had video.
Sorry. So you all heard our spider story like a while back, and there's a nail on the wall, and Rebecca looks at it quickly, and I do too, because now we're hysterical.
This nail was right next to me. I just saw the shadow in the corner of my eye. I'm like, is that a spider? And she looked at it at the same time, like, oh my God, she's seeing a spider. It's not. It's a nail. There's nails all over the house.
We have to name that spider in your bathroom because if it comes down.
No, because then we're friends.
That's true.
We're not friends. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm sorry, that was a tangent.
I will say too about that dance. I didn't even make any notes on this. I just realized that I'm like looking through my notes and I'm like, that was the whole thing, right? With the other school.
Yeah, because they had like some gun deaths because
so they were supposed to have a football game,
and
then this other school had a shooting at one of their games, and then so West Beverly wouldn't be allowed to play the game. Mm-hmm. And Jordan Bonner is a guy that goes to that school. Brandon somehow becomes friends with him because they both write for the paper. And then they end up somehow inviting that school to the West Beverly dance. And then everybody comes to show up. Security's freaking out.
Right, because if you're not allowed to play a football game, how can they come to your dance?
Well, and it wasn't because the school didn't allow this. Brandon just put it in the paper.
Right.
And invited them. And everybody's like, oh
and
my
God.
God.
Were like, but we were invited by Brandon Wong.
So they show up and it's all like, it was very like how the beginning, like West Side Story or something. Mm-hmm. And then nobody, like Donna and Brenda go just grab a couple of their guys and be like, let's dance. Mm-hmm. And they're like, okay. And then everybody starts dancing. And then some guy goes to mess with the equipment. And Steve's like, what are you doing? And he's like, trust me. And then it sounds way better. And then he joins David on the stage. And he did kind of make it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So, how could it not be better than David Silver?
And everybody's doing the bus.
And then everybody was doing all these things. And they were doing the electric slide. And I was like, oh, look at them go. So that was like a big thing. In my notes, my next notes say, I spelled Reek, R-E-E-K. Reek ends up in L.A.
Reek. Yes, Dean Cain shows up because Brando.
Man, this is why I don't like old shows where they put characters in the very beginning of the episode. I wanted to be surprised. Like he shows up in the credits as I'm watching it. I was like, oh, Dean Cain's in this
Dean Cain's coming back somehow.
Yes. So he sees Brenda and she's still pretending to be French, living with her aunt and uncle in Beverly Hills.
Oh my God. They're in like the video store and David is getting a spicy video because he wants to do it with Donna and she doesn't want to do it. And then like her priest is there and then Dean Cain is there. And Brenda could have totally just left because he wasn't even like he had his back to her.
She's like, how am I going to get out of here?
Yeah.
I'm like, you
could
have
at the door.
Yeah, either hid in the corner till he left or you could have snuck out of there.
Yeah, but she's like, okay, whatever I do or say, just go along with it. And she's like, hello, Week. It's a me.
Oh my God. The whole thing was so crazy. And then he's like in town and then she's like letting it go on and he calls the house and Cindy's like, somebody asked if my niece Brenda is here. Oh my God. So the whole thing is bizarre.
And I love how he's like, Brenda's not a very French name. And she's like, yeah, I know, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
And she ends up coming clean with him about her not being French.
And how about also you have a boyfriend?
Right. And then at this point is though when they basically, I think that was when she wanted to admit to Dylan there was
Yeah, 'cause
someone, and then he's like, there was a girl, and she freaks out on him.
Right.
Like, he doesn't say who. He doesn't say who. But she gets mad. She throws more of a temper tantrum after she comes clean that she kissed somebody.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, yeah, I was.
Yeah, I did too.
What? And then she loses her mind, and then they break up. They basically break up at that point.
Great.
So it was
you
like.
should have broken up before you went to France.
And then, yeah, exactly. And literally she's like, so then she's like dating Reek. And she, I'm going to call him Rick now because now she doesn't have an accent anymore.
That's right. I mean, I feel like she broke up with Dylan to go out with Rick.
Well, that's kind of how it seemed. And then right away, so the first thing once they break up, Dylan goes over to Kelly's house and is like, well, because Brenda called Kelly too. And she's like, we just broke up. I don't know what to do. Like da 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 da. And Kelly's like, oh my God. And then Dylan like shows up in her bedroom and she's like, okay, well, call me later.
Yeah, gotta talk later.
And then he's like, we broke up. She's like, I heard. And then he's like, well, I can date other people and I want to date you. And so then basically they're going to start dating just all right away.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was also awkward, but I was like, okay.
Yeah. And it all blows up from there. Mm-hmm. And then Brenda, like they tell Brenda.
Well, they run into her. They were going to tell her and they didn't. Mm-hmm. And then Dean, Kane, and her run into Kelly and Dylan, and they're all lovey-dovey, kissy-huggy.
Is that when they were at the restaurant? Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh my God, something together.
Oh, so I break up, and then he's like, well, you said he was free to date whoever he wants. And so, like, yeah, there was
never means that.
No,
that never
means your best friend.
No.
But that was the whole thing, and then for a while it was like, she was mad, but everybody, so then they're like not talking to each other. And Donna's in the middle of it. She's all mad because she's like, why are you putting me in the middle?
Yeah. So after all this business with Kelly and Brenda, Dylan goes off in his Porsche and he breaks down and is rescued by a beautiful older woman on a horse who takes him back to her ranch. And this is very reminiscent of that random storyline in Twin Peaks. Do you remember that? That's all I could think about through this whole storyline was in Twin Peaks, which was like 1 or 2 years prior to this season. There's just like a random guy and he like his bike breaks down and there's a lady with a horse on a ranch and he moves in with her and he's like her boy toy. Exact same story.
And there's a few times during this, the same music is being played from Twin Peaks.
Really?
During 92 and a few times.
Yeah.
Like that bong, bong.
Like, did you guys watch the show and then you were like,
yes.
Teenagers didn't watch this. But they did. That's
yeah, that episode was weird and out of place.
It didn't make any sense. Yeah, he's like, I gotta go off and be Dylan. And then Nikki and Brandon are dating.
Yeah, they kept running into each other in school. And she's a sophomore and they're seniors. Mm-hmm. And so then he was like, I can't, she's too young, which doesn't make any sense. Okay. But and then he kind of like gives in and they basically start dating.
And that was actually when Nikki and Donna played that trick on David where they were like, hey, we should get together.
Yeah.
Because what's his name? Dylan was like grilling burgers or something. So they go see a band. Or no, don't they go see David?
Yes.
And then
it was
Nikki's ex-boyfriend, Diesel.
AKA David Arquette.
David Arquette is in a band and he's supposed to be like the most dangerous because, again, she likes musicians. That's her thing. So turns out Diesel is like a really bad guy and like, you know.
She runs off. She kind of runs off with him-ish. But was kind of forced to. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he hits her.
But she really was like, no, I think I do love him and whatever. But then, he beats her up. And
Brandon has to save
Brandon
her.
saves the day. Mm-hmm. And then Brandon has a gambling problem.
Mm-hmm. And this was also, by the way, at Christmas time, it was all, It's a Wonderful Lifestyle.
Yes.
Brenda and Kelly are like friends again, and they're telling Dylan he has to choose. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, Kelly and him went on like a few dates, but then when he ran off, it was like this whole weird thing and they weren't together because she was like, I can't really do this to Brenda. I think that's kind of how it was. Sure. It went down. And then they're like, you have to choose. So you get to make the decision. He's like, oh, how fun for me. Okay, great.
So maybe he should have just stayed gone.
Yeah, or wasn't that at the point too? They said they were all just going to be friends, and then there were a couple episodes where he kissed Brenda in her room, and then he kissed Kelly somewhere else, and they both found out about it, and they were like, "Wait, there was a time." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Right.
So at that point is when you should just like kick that guy to the curb, but whatever. I mean, of course, everybody's in love, so.
And also, Dylan is getting more and more wealthy as the season goes on because like his trust is dissolved.
Well, so his dad gets out of prison, and that's like a big thing that's on the news, and he's like showing up. And I have to say, and I wrote this down, it is very strange for me to be watching every single day as I was watching 90210 on the same days I'm watching Days of Our Lives and watching 50-ish-year-old Josh Taylor who plays Dylan's dad and then 80-ish Josh Taylor who plays Roman Brady on Days of Our Lives. So, needless to say, every day I'm watching him 30 years apart on the same day in different episodes of a different show.
I mean, it goes hand in hand because we were watching Girls Just Want to Have Fun with 12-year-old Shannon Doherty, and also at the same time watching 20-something-year-old Shannon Doherty.
That's true. That's true.
So, because this is like 5 or 6 years after Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
So it started exactly 5 years.
Yeah, she was like 14 in 1985. So I don't know. I don't do math. But anyway. Yeah. So Dylan's dad gets out and they're like, we're going to be father and son. And then they go on this yacht and his dad gets blowed up in a car bomb.
Yeah. They want to get Jim off of managing Dylan's trust. And he's like, oh, dear God, well, Iris, his mom would have to sign off. And she comes back and it's like, fine, you can have what you want. There's all this weird bugging of the boat going on and some shady guys hanging around and no one knows.
His dad has like a weird girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like Christine.
Yeah. And then he keeps on the phone going, look, I'll get you the money as soon as I can get my kid's trust fund. And you're like, what's going on?
Oh,
and
his
then
shady dad is being shady.
This was also when all this happened, he invited, his dad had a getting out of prison party. And Mr. Walsh is like, you're not going to Brenda. But Kelly goes. And then that's when he chooses Kelly. So they swim in the pool and they do all the things. And then he chooses Kelly. And that's when they go have a conversation with Brenda. And she's like, well, we have to tell her everything. So they're like, I chose Kelly and now she's mad. And they're like, but there's more. But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's more.
By the way, when you were in Paris, we were making out.
We were hugging.
So she loses her mind. And did you sleep together? No, of course not. And she goes, neither of you ever talk to me again. And she stomps off. So that was when that happened. But it's Kelly who calls Dylan the morning of this explosion, which he almost got in the car. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, his dad's like, Dylan, Kelly's on the phone. I'll go move the car. And then he goes to the car and it explodes.
Which future events?
Yeah.
I just have to say, based on future events, why was his dad letting him get in the car in the first place? But we can't talk about that yet.
Right. And you're right. And I didn't notice something until this time around, but it also is foreshadowing. So we'll save that for later.
But also, did the writers know that was going to be a thing?
You're right. You're right.
I don't think they knew. I think they went all soap opera on us.
Yeah,
and
they
we're
kind of
like,
did. You're right, because I feel like that was...
Dr. Drake Ramore fell down an elevator shaft.
But now he's alive.
But anyway.
But yeah, that was interesting, and
they have
that's
a funeral and everything.
Then they have the funeral, and Dylan's super. Oh, well, this is my favorite part too, because the Walshes now love Dylan again.
Yes, he and Mr. Walsh are besties,
and they go get him because the press is all over. Because of course Jack just got out of prison and everything, so they won't leave Dylan alone. So he comes over to the Walsh's house, and they're they're all just hovering over him. They have the after funeral party there, and they're all surrogate parents to him again, which is hard for Kelly because she doesn't know how to be there for him. And he's like, I don't know how you can be there for me either. But she feels left out. And then, of course, he's all hanging out with all the Walshes. And so she's all weirded out by it.
Yeah.
By the way, I wrote down Brandon's gambling twice. And you mentioned it before. But
yeah, because then he gets in with he gets in trouble with his bookie
mob
person.
he was easily gambling for a while, and Nat was placing bets for him.
Well, he's a child.
I know. And then all of a sudden he gets Duke, who's the gambling guy's number from Nat, so he can do his own bets.
Yeah.
Well, Duke's seems like a nice guy, but he's got a money guy, so he comes in a couple times and basically threatens Brandon because he doesn't have the money because he loses. Mm-hmm. And this whole thing goes down, and Nat ends up paying off his debt for him, and he's like, never again. And he's like, or the first call he makes to your dad. And the whole thing was crazy, and it lasted a few episodes. But I was like, "Oh Lord, Brandon,
come on,
what are
Brandon.
you doing?"
He's there to save everybody but himself.
Exactly.
Kelly ends up being hospitalized because she gets hangry.
Yeah, Kelly gets on diet pills and she's all bitchy and crazy constantly. She tries to sabotage the selling of the home. Oh, we forgot.
That's right.
We forgot. The girls all go to the spa, by the way, which, first of all, we need to go to that spa.
Okay.
Andrea, Donna, Kelly, Brenda, Mrs. Walsh, and Jackie Taylor all go to a spa weekend together. And while they're there, everybody's like doing their thing, whatever. Kelly's been constantly trying to lose weight. She's constantly feeling weird about herself anyway. But Brenda overhears this really like gossipy masseuse say about her friend who's having an affair with this really, rich orthodontist, Dr. Silver. So we find out Dr. Silver's been cheating on Jackie. They break up and now she has to sell the house. And so Kelly's like sabotaging the home selling because she's all bitchy. When she comes in, she's like yelling at people in her house. And this girl was like, they opened her closet because you open closets when you want to look at a house.
And she's like, this is a cute
Why
sweater.
don't you just
like,
take my clothes?
Take it? Yeah.
She's all crazy.
And then they're like, they didn't buy the house because you were mean to them.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It was so funny. And then they have a party for her birthday, for her 18th birthday, and she passes out in the bathroom.
Party, but she knows about it.
Yeah. Steve ends up telling her because everyone was acting weird. And I'm like, okay, I have a question. If your birthday is like the next day and all your friends are whispering and then stop talking to you when you walk up, don't you kind of know? But no, Steve had to tell her.
Natalie, this is why you've never had a surprise party.
I had one. Yes, exactly. I'm like, yeah, that's how I would be on to them.
And then Steve and Brandon go on a dating show.
It's called Dream Date.
Oh my God. It's so corny.
But Steve ends up starting to date this Celeste because of it. And she's, by the way, she played Nina on Friends when she was in Chandler's office and he was supposed to fire her and then promoted her because he wanted to date her. But so she's like, she picks Steve. They match. Well, then he's like, I got to go to my friend's birthday. He promised Kelly he'd be at her birthday. And she's super sweet about it. She drops him back off at the Peach Pit because they had to go in a limo and all that. But then they start dating. Like she ends up going to prom with him.
Which is good because Steve never gets a romance.
No. Later on, different, but yes, he's
had
a hard. And I think that he's been holding a candle for Kelly this whole time anyway. So even when he does try to date people, I think it's not normal because
he's always hugging up on Kelly.
Yeah.
We progress to the last day of school. I know I skipped a bunch of stuff.
I do want to say there's the weird episode with the celebrity tour gone wrong and Callie Ewing shows up.
Oh, God.
What's her name in real life? Something
I don't even know.
Ponder something. I think their last name is Ponder in real life. So the chick that plays Callie Ewing on Dallas, she shows up because she's doing a celebrity tour and they're at the Peach Pit. It turns into a whole day of shenanigans where she steals Brandon's car and then Steve and Dylan chase her down. And then they end up in a commercial where they play mouthwash or something like that. The whole thing was so bizarre. And I wrote there were bacteria in a mouth in a commercial. And I was like, oh my God, that was so crazy. And that's the same day as Senior Ditch Day, I think, wasn't it? The rest of them all go to Six Flags for Senior Ditch Day. So I just thought it was funny that Kelly Ewing showed up.
There's also there's an episode about Steve and his mom.
Yeah, she goes to be on a show and her son's supposed to come along.
They're doing like a fake Thanksgiving. So this was a few episodes back. But yeah, they were doing like fake Thanksgiving in some mansion or something.
And we skipped the part. He had to tell her he was suspended from school.
That's right.
And that whole thing we skipped over was Steve got his little freshman buddy to hack into a computer system so he could change all of his grades.
Yep. And then it was a whole investigation run by Andrea.
Yes.
Because Andrea's a big old tattletale.
Who also got hit by a car and was in a wheelchair for a while. I forgot about that.
Face is all scraped.
She got hit by a car and then, they're investigating and the cops are always there.
And then Steve is doing like the racing with the dudes. And then Andrea's like, I recognize the bumper of that car.
Well, she kept telling the boys he had stars hanging from.
Right.
They never caught the person who hit and run Andrea.
Yeah.
There were stars hanging from the mirror. Well, then all of a sudden, this guy in detention gets Steve into racing. And then, of course, Brandon's betting on it with him and helping him do all these things. They show up in this, like, guy who's, like, I mean, it was like the 50s. They all have nice cars. And this is like, this guy's like, Frankie or whatever. I don't know what his name was. But he's the guy no one wants to race.
Right.
And then it turns into, they're trying to stall because Brandon and Steve see the stars.
Yes.
And he's like, Brandon, go back to town and get Andrea and the cops. And then they show up right when they're going to do chicken. And Dylan finds out about this and he shows up and keeps them from running into each other. The whole thing was another crazy thing.
It was so funny.
But yeah, that one was
so much happened in this season. It was a really good season.
It was a really good season. So then they have prom. Mm-hmm. And Mel Silver throws like a party for the kids and gives them champagne. When they were all told from the school board, if anybody is seen doing drugs or alcohol, you won't graduate. Mm-hmm. So this all happens. They get to prom. Donna drinks too much because she hasn't been eating so she could fit into her dress, which, by the way, she is so cute and she's so thin. And in this episode, her mom says to her, the tailor or whoever, hasn't seen a waist this small since Vivian Leigh.
Oh my.
And Vivian Leigh, who played Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, apparently had like the smallest waist ever in Hollywood. So when she said that, I was like, oh, I can tell because she's super thin.
Yeah.
She doesn't, so she passes, like she gets hammered and they're trying to get her out of there and she falls down in front of Mrs. Teasley, the assistant principal lady. And they're like, yep, sorry, you're not going to graduate.
Yeah, which, Donna kind of always accepted that fate anyway because of her learning disability. And she's like, I'm not going to go to college anyway because, I have a learning disability. And Miss Teasley's like, oh, there's lots of, programs for people. And then they find out that she is an artist and she can go to art school.
Yeah. Well, and at this point she was like, well, you worked now Donna's like, I worked so hard and now they're not going to let me graduate.
But of course, everybody gets to graduate, including David.
Well, yeah. So they have a whole big thing in front of the school board and the kids stage a walkout during finals and they go to support Donna. And they're doing this whole spiel. And there was a thing with the school board. They were sneaking things onto the agenda. And of course, Andrea's there. They can't do this. But then they do this hearing in front of the school board and they go to vote. And the lady who is like, she wasn't there at the previous school board. And she's like, this whole dress code thing, what are you even talking about? By the way, she played Mary Therese on Friends, the guy that Joey's sister that Chandler made out with. She gets to be the deciding factor. They vote that Donna will get to graduate. So they do all get to walk and do their whole thing. And the graduation episodes are very reminiscing and they play memories from old shows.
It's a clip show.
I will say this. I keep writing bad things about Andrea there. I'm like, she's all screechy and freaking out about her speech. But these core people are in charge of everything. I was kind of like, how big's West Beverly? You think it's really big when you look at it, and it's West Beverly. But yet...
their graduating class is like 200 people.
They ran the whole pigskin dance or whatever. Now they're in charge of the senior breakfast. David is on this committee. He's putting the videos together. The videos only show these 5 people.
Yes, they do a whole presentation about how the popular kids are just celebrating each other. And everybody, all the other students are like, yay for them.
Yeah, yay. I mean, and let's just pretend in TV world there was a really long video with all those other people in it. But like the skydiving, the camping, the dancing when Emily Valentine was singing, all of that made the video.
Yeah, they sing a song about Brandon
having too many women.
And they put some extra students in there that we're supposed to believe are students, and
2 random girls he hasn't dated that we know of. And they're singing with his sister,
right?
And Kelly and Donna.
Ew, and there's a montage of him kissing everybody. And
he said, well, I guess I've been with a few. He's like, I guess I've been with a few ladies. Oh, Brandon.
Yeah. The last day of school, though, it feels like everybody's acting like tomorrow they'll be gone from Beverly Hills.
Right.
Like tomorrow they're going to move out. Like Jackie is cleaning out all of Kelly's stuff.
Well, she's still looking for a place. Moving. Yeah, she's still looking for a place to live, but they're like, well, I hope you're going to be in a dorm. Well, not for the summer.
Right. We still have a whole summer to go through. Nobody's leaving tomorrow.
And we forgot that a few episodes back, Brenda is deciding whether she wants to go to the University of Minnesota. Because earlier in the season, they were fighting over who was going to get to go to college, basically, because the Walshes don't have enough money.
Okay, so the reasoning here, look, the parents are like, we only have enough money to send one kid to a good college and one kid to a piece of crap college.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they're going to have to fight it out. We're going to send Brenda. And Brandon's like, why Brenda? That doesn't make any sense. But first of all, they're like, oh, we don't want to have to take out a second mortgage on our house.
Yeah. And then they do.
And we can't get financial aid. Right. And I'm like, I mean, nobody paid for my college.
Yeah.
Like, they could just get loans.
Right.
I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah. The thing was, it was kind of crazy.
It was so, I was like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. So they're all kind of deciding what they want to do. And everybody, no one really knows. And Dylan might go to Berkeley, but he might also go to the California University. So they're like, yeah, they're talking about it. Like, you're right. Like, they're going to just all be right away.
Tomorrow.
No one's going to see each other. And it's crazy because also during graduation, this was also funny, and I get it's for TV purposes, but the class, like you said, the class looked to be about 200 people. So again, I'm thinking this big high school, so I was thinking it was going to be way bigger, but there were nobody with the last name starting with S between Sanders, Silver, and then Kelly Taylor.
I know.
And then, of course, Walsh and Zuckerman are together, but they couldn't put Donna and Dylan next to each other. Martin and McKay are also pretty close.
Right?
I was like, what's happening?
That whole thing was so strange. Yeah. And I was like, look, you and I had a different graduation experience than people who went to public school, because I had 70 people in my class.
Yeah.
So like in our graduations, we did have a video, and the video had, like, they made sure everyone was in the video.
In it. Yeah.
And it was in the gym at our school.
Right.
Whereas I've been to graduations that were like in, the civic auditorium because, there were so many, there's like 1,000 students or whatever. And that's what you would expect from West Beverly High.
I expected it to be way bigger. Like, and they're all up on this like stadium style seating on a stage outdoors. So it looks way bigger. Yeah. Like you said, my class again was 68 people. Yeah. And these, we're expecting, there are schools here in our town, and like your kids have gone to a big school where there is like 500 kids in a class at times.
Which is
and
crazy.
So then it's like a quick, our graduation was like a Catholic mass also. So yeah.
we did have a mass.
We had a whole mass, and then we all still graduated.
Had a presentation about all the students.
Exactly.
And then the call, like, whatever. I know it's TV, and they have to do it. But
it was kind of funny.
Still, I was like, this is it. That's what made it feel like my own graduation.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, it's very personal.
It was, yeah.
And graduations are not personal anymore.
No.
In fact, my son didn't even go to his graduation.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem like it is with those bigger schools. And this was nice because it was like, you could just tell they're down taking pictures afterwards. And Kelly's dad shows up like for the first time. He's always like disappointed her multiple times and hasn't shown up for her. And again, the Walshes take a picture with Dylan because they're like his surrogate parents, even though his mom's there. But the kids have this, secret that they've been keeping and they've been working on in the Walsh everything happens in the Walsh's backyard. Dylan comes over at night and says to Mr. Walsh he wants to give him his money back because he got a check. When they dissolved the trust, he got a check and he had all this money. And then everybody was kind of like, oh, those new shoes. Oh, those, like what you've been buying.
He's like, I can do whatever I want.
And he's like, oh yeah, it can change people. And Dylan's like, that's why I want to give you my money back and put it back in a trust. And he goes, I want the same with a little bit more on my checks. And Mr. Walsh is all pleasantly surprised, of course. And he's like, I think we can handle that. And he's like, I really didn't think you'd do that.
But we always knew that Dylan doesn't like money. Like, he doesn't like
He really doesn't care, yeah.
He doesn't want that to be who he is. And he's always saying that to Steve about how, money makes people do dumb things.
Do crazy things,
I don't want to be that person.
Yeah. So he ends up going, speaking of that, money making people do crazy things. Steve didn't think Mrs. Teasley was going to let him graduate. Mm-hmm. So we glossed over the part where they all did Christmas presents at that little... there was like a school where they donate money to, or they have a program, and Steve had to play Santa because Mrs. Teasley made him. And then they find out that school's not going to have funding for like their summer program anymore. Mm-hmm. Well, Steve and Brandon and the Walshes go to a Lakers game, and Steve gets picked to shoot a half-court shot for $10,000. And he makes it and wins $10,000. So the next day, he hears this story about this school not getting their funding. Mm-hmm. And he anonymously donates $10,000 to the school. And then the next day, Andrea and Mrs. Teasley are talking about it. And they're like, yeah, I can't believe somebody just donated $10,000. And then they were like, oh yeah, Steve just won. And they're like, And then when Mrs. Teasley looked into it, the return address was the Hartley House, which is the show his mom is on. And so he made sure she'd know. And then she was all like, you pleasantly surprised me. So that was a whole thing. And she's like, She loves those kids. But they all drive up to the big hill and spend the night also. But they decorated.
How cold is it up there?
Exactly.
Because
and
really...
why, if you already put the sign up, why did you stay there all night and then go look at it in the morning?
Because they were, when the others showed up, they were like, "Oh, we already did it. It's done."
Yeah.
And also, isn't that highly illegal?
Oh yeah, it's trespassing, and because recently there was a whole story about Sydney Sweeney pulling some stunt for her lingerie campaign. She threw a bunch of bras on the Hollywood sign.
Yeah. So what had happened is that our cast, they all covered up the Hollywood sign with WBEV 93 or whatever.
WBEV High, like HI 93 over the Hollywood sign.
Right.
And then they drive down the hill and go look at it, and that's how the end of this season ends, as they're standing there like looking at their sign and what they did. So.
And then I just walked around my house. And I was like, oh, I got to make dinner. And I was just kind of in a daze. And it felt like the finale of the show.
You know, like it does.
Not that I didn't watch seasons 4 and 5, but I was like, oh.
But you're right. Like over
the end of the show.
Over the years, like later on in life, I was kind of like, did they start earlier than I thought? And then it ended at graduation, right? And because I remember that scene specifically.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at
bittersweet.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, it's the end.
Nope, we continued on because we got one.
I wonder if they just didn't really believe in the longevity of the show. Not at this point, but like in the beginning. Because, like, why would you center your show about high school and then start your high schoolers in the middle of high school? Because now we're graduating. And now we have to go on to
I always wondered how they went with it because, like, you know, we've talked about, you know, what's so funny? Brenda says towards the end, she was talking to Brandon or something, and she said, like, we've been here for 3 years. No, you haven't. You've been here for 2 years. But the show's been on for 3 years.
Right.
Because the whole season was like the summer. And so I was like, okay, writers, get it together.
Seriously.
But it was kind of funny because I was like, yeah, they... I think no matter what you do, if you're like a senior year in high school, it's going to be full of a lot of cool stuff.
Sure.
So this show in general, because that's what it centered around, was actually pretty cool. But yeah.
Andrea's speech, I was pleasantly surprised. Andrea's speech was it was not so Andrea, but it was very moving. And I got that feeling like I got when I was graduating. She's like, we don't know what the future holds and whatever. And that's when I started bawling. And I was like, oh my God, I do, because I'm here. And she's like, we're always going to, you know, we'll have each other and we'll have this moment, this time to look back on. And we're always going to be together. And I'm like, oh, okay.
That's what made me so sad too, because I remember that from high school, and I remember thinking like how just like I mean, and it's so funny just because earlier tonight I told your son how I didn't want to leave high school, but that was for me. I was like, because I mean, I loved sports so much and just everything. Like I just remember at the end, I mean, and I would like run into other classmates who were like, can't wait to get out of here. And I was just like, I could stay 2 more years. Like
you are so adorable.
I loved it. I loved it.
I could not wait to get out of high school.
Nope. I felt that way in grade school. But then once I got to, I mean, I could have stayed in high school.
But graduation is scary. It feels like you're going into the unknown and you have no idea what's going to happen.
So true.
But now here we are.
I know. All these years later.
And do you talk to people from high school? I mean, I know you do. You talk to everyone in our high school. You are like a high school celebrity. But I don't. I mean, like there's Facebook. If we didn't have Facebook,
you wouldn't know anything
I wouldn't know anything about anyone.
No.
And like, I think your sister and you. That's about it.
Christine.
And Christine.
Yeah.
Yes. But I mean...
You're right. You wouldn't see it, and then you know, and Melissa, because she works for me, and she's my friend. So like you've seen her, and
and Lisa, but I've known Lisa since I was 5.
Right.
She's my Dylan.
But exactly. She's your Dylan. Yeah. I mean, I've gone to other events. I mean, I've just recently went to 2 basketball games at our high school because Melissa's nephew plays. So like, and then seeing people from my class, and I mean, you know, and I saw teachers of ours who like everybody hugged Mrs. Burton. I mean, it was just like, and to me, it's like that's the kind of thing where that's what makes our high school, I felt like, so unique too. But
sure, yeah, because like kids, like my kids, they don't even know most of the people that they went to school. Right. I didn't even realize that my son was going to school with like my husband's cousin. I didn't even know that they were in the same class for like half the year.
Yeah.
But because it's a huge school.
Right. And ours was so different. You knew, I mean, and that's just that I know people from multiple years around the time I went there.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then everybody's kids start going there. So then you kind of know, I mean, when you and my sister started, I was in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. So I know that senior class, I know people from that senior class when you guys were freshmen down to the people who were for sure freshmen when I was a senior. Mm-hmm. So that's a big period of time. And then other, you know, just, I mean, it was so funny to me a few years ago. I went back because like the boys became state champions in basketball, and we were at a bar afterwards hanging out with all these same people from our high school, and these guys who are like assistant coaches on the team now, but one of them was my volleyball coach's son, who I remember running around as a little kid, and he's like, I remember you, and
oh my goodness.
And then some of the guys who were way younger than me, they were like, oh, we used to come watch you guys play, and I was like, oh, now I feel like super, like it was like super cute, but I'm like, okay, that's awesome. So yeah. So that's why I think that's probably why we both I liked this season for that reason, because yeah, you start to reminisce and
yeah,
you feel like you're part of the gang.
And also I have a 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, you're in the throes.
Bittersweet. And I was like, oh God, I'm the Walshes. Oh, so yeah. Yay. Then we're going to go off to college next semester.
I can't wait.
I wanted to continue into season 4 today, but I was like, I got to go make the pizza.
As soon as I stopped I watched this, like yesterday. I think I finally finished the end, and I was like, it tells me to go on to season 4, episode 1.
Well, that concludes season 3 of... I'm even less annoyed with the theme song now. So, right on. All right. Well, you want to wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up and stay tuned for season 4 the next time.
Yay! See you then.